Welcome back to Juneteenth, and I just wanted to thank everyone who was able to check this event out. I mean, it's been jam-packed with all black and no whack. And before we wrap, we're going to lay track to another interview. In fact, hey, we got all the rhythm here at Black and a Flash, but my next guest might as well be called The Instrument. He's closing out the show with Melatonin. Everyone, please say hello to my good friend Prez. How you doing, brother?
I am doing well, Bobby. I'm impressed. I knew you were a man of many talents, but I did not see that rhyme coming. That was nice. That was nice.
Oh, thank you. I almost got him pulling out the drum pad himself. I want to talk a little bit about it. So you're closing out this event with Melatonin. It's kind of like I love the game, love rhythm games, but it's also a bit of like a departure from your recent performances. Like, I know you did a hotfix run recently, and you did like Super Metroid at GDQX. So what do you prefer? Do you prefer like the high intensity APM or like chill cruises through video games like Melatonin does?
You know, honestly, like I think what draws me to a speed run is something that's going to keep me engaged. And that doesn't necessarily mean like a ton of actions. I know people know me from like Super Metroid, Super Mario World, Sworn, things like that. Melatonin may seem like a huge departure, but I am actually a big music nerd. I have a degree in recording arts from Full Sail University. So I am actually like heavy into music. So being able to cross those loves of both music and video games together into a speed run is actually like super joyous for me. So I'm super excited to do this run. And yeah, like I've loved Melatonin since it was released. I've played that game so many times, and I was sitting here thinking like, you know, I wanted to do something new and fresh and unique for the event this year. And it just seemed like a match made in heaven. Plus people have been seeing me play games with the drum pad throughout the year. So I was like, you know what, let me give you an actual music game for a change.
It's nice because it's a culmination of like what GDQ has been experimenting with as a whole, as like for the evolution of speed run, of like simply speed runs, right? And like Melatonin, yes, any percent is kind of like a really good like clash of like the music performances that we had before, and like the, you know, the high level speed runs that, you know, you come to know and love. Like I really do love like the variety that you put into, you know, like your various speed runs. And like being an enjoyer of like many games, do you think your favorite games of choice what do you think your favorite games tell of you as a person, right? Like if you could pick your top 3 favorite games of all time to like tell people this is Prez, like what would that be? And we might be here for a minute.
So, you know, you yelled out top 3, and it's funny because like people who watch my content or know me, they absolutely know my top 3, right? And I think my top 3 games really tell a story of how my childhood shaped me as a gamer. And so my top 3 games of all time, with number 3 is Super Metroid. Number 2 and number 1 are technically tied. It just depends on the day of the week that you ask me which one is number 1, but it's between Metal Gear Solid and Final Fantasy Tactics. Games that couldn't be any different, right? They could not be more different from one another. But those 3 games are like very paramount. They're very like me. They're very Prez. Metal Gear Solid taught me what it was like to have a game be a cinematic presentation, to draw you in with storyline and character, and you know, it's almost like watching a movie. And then Final Fantasy Tactics was the first game to really draw me into strategic thinking. That's why I play chess so much now. It's literally because of Final Fantasy Tactics. So, and then Super Metroid, funnily enough, I didn't really get to play Super Nintendo until like maybe 6 months before the PlayStation was about to drop, right? So I had to catch up on, like, I got the chance to play like all these classic games. Like I played Zelda and I played Super Mario World, yada yada. But I had not really gotten to explore the Super Nintendo library. I was a Sega Genesis kid. And so my dad once allowed me to rent a Super Nintendo from Blockbuster Video. I know everybody in chat right now, yes, I'm old, but we rented a Super Nintendo from Blockbuster Video, and was like, all right, you got to pick a game. And I'm looking at all these games, and I saw Super Metroid, and I'm like, you know, I remember Metroid from Nintendo. I hated that game so much. It was so hard. It was very difficult. I couldn't figure out what to do. I was like, I'm not going to let this defeat me. I'm going to try the new game. And lo and behold, Super Metroid became literally, one of my favorite games ever. And so that's literally how I came into being, a Metroid runner first as a very casual lover of the game. But yes, those top three absolutely tell you everything you need to know about who I am as a gamer.
That's so awesome. And like, again, like, I really love the fact that like, even if you grew up like a certain, with affinity for a certain platform, you will always, especially with like how prominent and like niche or popular the niche category of like retro is now, right? Like there is always a love for something that you can always go back to, like the old Dragon Quest, the old Contras, the old Final Fantasies. Love that.
Absolutely.
So can you say the same about one of your other hobbies, Magic the Gathering? So like, sorry, we're gonna get a little bit nerdy here, okay? I do love flipping some cardboard with the Blasphemous Sact right here.
Okay.
And I've gotten a chance to play a couple games with various black speedrunner folks like Prez, like J Rock, C1. And you've been hosting and playing EDH games a fair bit. So what do your decks say about you? Like, if you have like a top three, like I know I kind of peeped a little bit of what you got on Instagram, but like if you want to tell the people who love Magic the Gathering your top three decks to know about you, what would it be?
Yeah, well, first I'll say I don't think that my decks say about me as much as gaming does, because my decks can be a little evil sometimes. So don't put that on me. No, what they do say though is the creative side of me. I'm very much someone who is very much into like building from scratch. It's why I love to program. It's why I love to draw. Something about having just an idea and nothing but your thoughts, and then being able to massage that into a product, into something that's tangible, that calls to me. And so deck building in Magic the Gathering is a huge part of why I enjoy the game. That being stated, if you're out there, if you're a Commander player and you're like, yo, what is he running? Sokka from the Avatar drop has been one of my favorites. Nice little tribal typo. I've also been running a lot of Yuma, Proud Protector. Shout out to Thor Magander. Thor actually bought me that deck. That was my first Commander deck. I've been playing Magic since the 90s, and I didn't start playing Commander until a couple of years ago. Thor brought me into Commander. I'd always saw the format, but I was like, first of all, I didn't have a pod to play with. But also I was like, I don't know if that's for me. And then Thor bought me that deck, and the rest was history. Now we are in it to win it. For Commander. But beyond that, you've got Sokka, you've got Yuma, and I think honestly, like the deck that I just introduced into my rotation, Toph, also from Avatar. Funny enough, I'm not even a big Avatar fan like that. Don't hurt me. I'm not a huge Avatar fan, but the Avatar cards were amazing, and Toph is a beast of a deck. I've really been enjoying that. So
which one are you running? Are you running the Metal Bender one?
The Metal Bender, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely, just breaking the rules of Magic, which I think is another thing. Like I've told people many times, playing Magic the Gathering made me a better computer programmer, and that's not a joke. Having to be able to think pragmatically about how Magic works in the stack actually isn't just like good from a gaming perspective. It actually does help you tangibly think about how computation works, because you have to think, first in, last out, right? Or last in, first out. So it helps you really perceive like how things work in a computer world. And being someone who is currently trying to work on developing his own video game, it's been really cool to kind of utilize that knowledge.
It's really cool how like you said this game got you into coding and not like or into developing, and like not like the other way around. And I think that's also like really cool. And also shout out to Thor Magander for getting this guy into Magic the Gathering. I feel like we all need to get like a nice Black and a Flash like hot fix Magic the Gathering pod, but we'll scratch that for later. Got a couple more questions to ask you, because we're talking about these many different like hobbies and projects that you're a part of, and like whether it's getting involved in like even in performances of your GDQ runs, like fundraising for the World Crises, spreading a nice message, or helping establish brands, like having helping their brands establish their footing in gaming. So all while maintaining stuff in like real life. So how do you find time to balance it all? I barely had enough time to pull you in for this interview. So like, what's especially for someone who wants to be like really creative and aspirational, because this is something that we really want to promote, right? What's one thing that you want to tell someone, like a method or a trick to like kind of like manage or avoid burnout, like, and kind of keep the eyes on like that cruise control?
Yeah. So I'd say first and foremost, especially when you first start getting into creation and more so when you began to find some success and you find like, all right, brands are reaching out to you, other creators are reaching out to you, people are trying to schedule you for this and that. Always provide, first of all, time away. One of the first things that I was taught in life was if you do something you love, you'll never work a day in your life, right? And that's not wrong. When you are doing things that you love, your job doesn't feel like a job. It really does feel very fun. However, the more and more you find yourself like doing absolutely nothing but that, the more it starts to feel like a burden. It feels like something that is more of a requirement, more so than something that you want to do. And so that's where burnout begins, because it's like, oh, I need a break, even though the thing that you love is supposed to be the thing that you break. That's supposed to be what you use as a break. So always find that time to just step away and do something that's not necessarily related to work. Prime example, I was talking about on social media the game Final Fantasy 16. And so I don't own a PlayStation 5. And so when that game came out, I had to wait for it to drop on PC. And when it dropped on PC, it was not very optimized. So I had to shelve the game. I didn't get to enjoy it. And so very recently, I reinstalled it. And I was like, all right, I finally get to play this game. And the first thing that started to bubble up in my head was like, man, this would be good content. It's a first playthrough. And now I stopped for a second. I was like, you know what? No. Actually, everything does not have to be content. I can just enjoy this game. And I think that's like kind of a primary thing for people to carry, is like everything doesn't necessarily have to be a piece of content. It doesn't have to be something that you do. Even if you like, we went to MagicCon, right? I went to MagicCon Vegas. I did create content there, but there was a huge chunk of time that was just me enjoying the game with friends. And that's important. Finding that balance of enjoying life that's not necessarily connected to dollars and cents, although money is important, but everything does not have to be connected to your job.
No, and yeah, the time management, and I agree with everything that you said there, because it's like not everything has to be content. And I hope you folks have had a really nice insight into like who this person is, and now he's gonna give you an insight onto where to follow him, where to see him, and all that other stuff. So, where can we find you?
So first of all, for those of you who are not super familiar with me, I am Prez. I am also known as the President Noir. You may have seen me previously on GDQ under that banner. That is not a name that you cannot call me. You can call me Prez. You can call me Noir, Mr. President, whatever title you want to bestow upon me. All of those are perfectly fine. You can find me on Instagram at President Noir. If you're heavy into Magic the Gathering, find me at Prez Play Games. You'll see me talking a lot about card games there. Also on Blue Sky, you can catch me at thepresidentnoir.com. Other than that, obviously on Twitch, see me as Prez. You'll see me playing a lot of retro games. By the time this airs, I would have already been on front page for my birthday doing a event, which is going to be, well, it was really cool. You missed it. Sorry if you weren't there. But other than that, catch me on Mondays playing Commander, on Tuesdays, Thursdays, or Fridays, playing either indie games or retro games, or otherwise just having a good time with my community. I'm all about providing a space where people can come and enjoy themselves and get the energy that they need to escape from the everyday life. Other than that, I appreciate your time. Obviously, this was an amazing interview. I had a bunch of fun. Thank you so much for bringing me on, and looking forward to smashing some pads and doing some melatonin in a couple of hours from now.
Absolutely, folks. That was Prez. Thank you very much for sharing your time with us for this interview, and we're going to be setting it up to the host to give you the what's what for the rest of this event. And you folks best get your butts in that seat for Prez playing melatonin to close everything on out. We will see you soon.